Welcome to Share Your Light. Hello, hello, hello. Thank you guys for joining us today. I am your host, Rakaya Gibson, and it is my honor and my privilege to be with you guys today to share our light. I have a special guest today, Miss Tyisha Jenkins. Hello, Miss Tyisha.
Hi, hello everybody.
Tyisha is such a phenomenal woman. When you hear that poem, Phenomenal Woman, that's me, you think of Tyisha. She is somebody who has been a dear friend of mine for a little over 10 years now. When I was a first year teacher, she was on my team and a true friend to take me under the wing and show me the ropes. But also, there was a time when both of us were coaching and we carpooled with our children. She would take the kids to school in the morning. I would pick them up after school. We would flip flop. So the relationship is very genuine here. And over the years, Tyisha has shared parts of her story with me, and I'd be like, girl, you got to write that book. You got to write that book because people need to be blessed with your testimony. And I'm so glad that she has finally gotten to the point to where it was time. Sometimes, there's human time and there's God's time. So God has revealed to her that it is finally time for her to share her story with the world. And so we are here today with Tyisha. I've got my copy of the book that she is a co-author of. It's called Promise, and it is an Amazon bestseller. So
Yes.
Tyisha talks about God's promise in this book. So Tyisha, for everybody that's watching, can you just introduce yourself? Who is Tyisha Jenkins?
Tyisha Jenkins is just a woman who is growing and who is after God's heart. I am walking into a season of just purpose. I'm on assignment. I'm finally being obedient. I'm also finally being able to walk in my truth. I am a mother. I have a 15-year-old son. I'm an educator. I'm going into my 19th year teaching. I have also been a coach, and I am just someone who's just ready to do God's will in a major way. I'm just ready to see what God has for me, for my family, and for anybody that whose life I touch. So I'm just really me, girl. Ain't no hope to it.
Definitely. And you mentioned my word purpose, that is what keeps me going every day. Because when we deal with grief, we deal with trauma, we deal with hardship. A lot of times we start wondering how we're gonna make it through even another day.
Yeah.
And when I have those thoughts, I have to remind myself of the purpose that God has given me, that I have to keep going to fulfill that purpose. And when I stay focused on the purpose, then the pain kind of doesn't overcome me. It doesn't overtake me in the same manner. But when I focus on the pain, those are the days that it's hard to move. Those are the days that, I'm basically paralyzed by my grief. So with these conversations, I've been very intentional to select people who have a testimony, who are not going to just tell you something that they read, tell you something that, is in scripture, but they're going to speak from experience because, like we were talking right before we came on, so many people that are going through traumatic experiences, whether it be grief or other hardships, a lot of times people start questioning God and start getting mad at God even.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so sometimes I think people, when they try to encourage people who've gone through hardship, they have they have pure intentions, but they say things that can be hurtful or that can make someone even more angry at God. Like someone's already questioning a relationship with God, and we just say, well, God had his plan. So, it's all for the good. It's all for the greater good.
He makes no mistakes. He makes no mistakes.
So those things kind of can make somebody a little bit disgruntled. So it's really important that I have people like you who have true testimony so that, someone isn't just saying, well, that person doesn't know what they're talking about, but you truly have been to like those low points. You talk in the book about having anxiety and having to find your way through that. So let's start from the beginning. I talked to you about one of your tweets that you shared the other day, and you talked about your mom being in the penitentiary when she was pregnant with you. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the memories that I have of those times is really just longing for my mother as a young girl. My aunt, who she passed away too when I was a teenager. That was my first real experience with loss. I was 13 years old, and this was a woman who was my mother. Before I really, really knew my mom. I knew my mom as my mother, but there was some time she spent away from us, and so that was my first experience. And so I remember as a little girl longing for her, longing for my mother, them telling me that she was gone, but I'm like, where is she that she's gone this long? I had no idea what jail was, what prison was. I just knew I wanted my mom. And so prior to that, because so that was the times that she was having my other siblings. Before me, I was her first child that she gave birth to under the protection of going to prison in order to protect her children from her addiction to drugs. At that time, she was addicted to heroin. And so she told me, because she used to talk about it, and I was like, Mama, why do you talk about that? She was like, well, that's part of my life. And she was like, I went to prison. When I found out I was pregnant each time, I went to prison on purpose in order so you guys could be okay or would be okay. And I didn't understand it until I became a mother. The idea of that sacrifice of her protecting her kids. And so just to know that someone is battling with addiction, as a young mother, and then you are willing to go to prison, that's not, to go to prison to protect your seed, to protect your promise. And so,
Right.
Right. So that's the beginning in that sense, with my mom struggled with drug abuse for quite some time, as well as my father. And so that's kind of the beginning of that, her protecting her children from addiction in that regard. But I guess we'll get to talking about me losing her in a little bit. But
so after your aunt, you said that was your first loss. So your next loss was your mother or your brother?
Well, it was my grandmother after that, my dad's mom.
Okay.
But those were my first encounters with just true loss of close loved ones. And I was like, wow, and so you're young though. You kind of just like, it kind of bumps off of you and you just kind of keep moving. But my mom, I was an adult woman, kind of understanding life at this point. I had my own child, and I saw my mom go through, taking care of her children, but also battling with her drug abuse. It had graduated from heroin to like crack cocaine, and it was just something that she struggled with. And woman now, I didn't know a lot of stuff that my mom went through, as a woman, as a child growing up. And so for a long time, I resented her because of her drug addiction. I didn't get it, and I just was so angry at her as a child. But she passed away in 2005 because of the abuse of drugs. She had congestive heart failure, she had kidney failure, and just took a toll on her body. My mom was 51 years old, very young, when she passed away. And so it was hard. So that was in 2005. And then a year later, I lost my youngest.
Your youngest brother?
Mm-hmm.
So was he grieving? Was it related to your mother's loss?
I honestly think it has something to do with it. Honestly, where we are as a family, that was in 2006, Rakaya, we still in the back of our minds try to put those pieces together of why he would have, taken his life. So we don't know. We don't know 100%, but I would venture to say that, losing your mom, baby, being the boy, youngest boy, no matter how old you are, but I venture to say it had something to do with it. Just the hurt itself of losing your mom. So I definitely say it was layers to it.
Wow. And, we talked right before we came on, and I knew your brother had passed, but I never knew that he had taken his own life until today. And you said that that was something that, you're just now being able to talk about.
Yes, because it was such a sensitive spot for my family. It's almost kind of one of those things where you're not necessarily ashamed, but it's still so much unbelief. And so he shot himself, but he didn't pass away from his injury until 16 days later. So I try to have the solace that he didn't actually kill himself. And so I was kind of walking in that, and he didn't kill himself. He died after he tried to, but ultimately that's what the doctor, that's what they said, that he committed suicide. So for a long time, I couldn't even say the word suicide because it hurt so much that my little brother could have done something like that. And then just my family knowing what they had gone through, it's like that wasn't just something we talked about. After that happened, we, had his funeral, we mourned him, and we all mourned separately because his death kind of rocked our world in a tremendous way. I can't, for those people that are listening and viewing that have experienced suicide, someone losing their loved one, girl, I cannot even put an adjective to what that feels like. That was 14 years ago. Rakaya, I still have a hard time looking at his photos because it was, he was a girl. I can't even, I can't talk about it without, I'm gonna start getting emotional, but it's kind of one of those things. I think when you lose someone and you lose, especially someone at a young age, you just don't believe it could happen to you. It's like, what? Not me, not my little brother. And he shot himself. What was going on? And so you start questioning. There's doubt. There's anger. I remember we had some guilt thrown around with each other. Or blame. I didn't mean guilt. Blame. We were kind of blaming each other. And it was kind of because we didn't know what else to do. How do you grasp or try to understand that your brother would take his own life? So that was a struggle. That was a very hard death for us, or loss rather.
As a sibling, because a lot, and as I've gotten more familiar with grief, people talk about the parents, but a lot of siblings say that people told them you have to be strong for your parents, or you have to be strong. And siblings talk about themselves being the forgotten grievers. Do you feel any of that in your process of grieving your brother's loss?
Not necessarily. Let me tell you, girl, I'll never forget when my brother was in critical condition. And I never forget, we would go to the hospital, rotate different family members in and out by his side, praying for him. And I remember literally begging to God, begging, please bring my brother back. Please bring my brother back. Please bring my brother back. And the Lord said, what if I don't? And I was like, what? And I had to process that. Because he said, I need you to know that if I bring him back, he won't ever be the same. Traumatic, a lot of damage to his head. And he said, so you need to start processing that. He said, now you need to start praying for my will instead of your will. You want him back because I get it. And so he said, and in this time, I also need you to start praying for your father who just lost his wife a year ago. And now his child is, in critical condition, and you need to be praying for your siblings. So God kind of gave me the strength to start praying for his will, and then start praying for them to have peace in their hearts early on. So I really can't say that I necessarily felt alone, because at that time I had a lot of friends that surrounded me with a whole lot of love. I can say that as siblings, it was hard for us to be around each other, girl, because we reminded each other of him so much and we loved him so much. It was really hard for us to be around each other at times and not talk about baby John or think about baby John. And so did our
Let
own
me ask
thing.
you something about that. So I know me and a few of my friends who lost children,
Mm-hmm.
and like for instance, Ahmad. After Damani's passing, just recently he started talking to me and letting me be around him. There was a time that I couldn't hug him, I couldn't come in his room, and it just felt like my presence was not welcome.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say that, that made, because I've wondered that before, I'm like, do I just make him think about the pain too much?
I don't even know if it's so much the pain, but just seeing his brother in you.
Or the
You know,
memories, because we always, the three of us were together.
exactly,
So he's not used to being with me without
exactly,
Damani.
exactly. And so with when we would all be together, it's almost like it was inevitable that we start talking about baby John. And so it was like we trying to heal, but there's a void. Girl, I'll never forget. And I know you can relate, but when baby John passed, my brother passed, girl, it literally felt like I had a limb missing. I mean, it felt like something was missing from my body. Like, and so I told myself, I said, girl, if you feeling like this as a big sister, imagine how your brothers feel. One of my brothers was in the room when it happened. Mhm. So my heart forever goes out, like forever. So girl, it's like when God puts you in position to pray, you have to know what to pray for, especially when he downloads it to you. I've to know that my brother went through that, it's like, girl, you hurting, but imagine somebody seeing it firsthand, what he went through, so it's just kind of, girl, it's an experience.
Like after it happened, I know you said you prayed and God told you, to let his will be done.
Mhm.
Did you ever go through any moments with any of your losses where you would question why me? Why are you letting this happen to me, God?
Oh
Why my
gosh, yeah.
family?
Oh yeah. All the time. But I can tell you that that why me didn't start with loss. Why me started when I was a little bitty girl. Um, some of the things we went through in our home, and don't get me wrong, we had loving parents, hardworking parents, but some of the things you go through as a child, sometimes you go to sleep asking, why me? Why we got to go through this? Why? And so that was something that I kind of developed as a child. Why me? So when I lost my mom, I did say why me. Then when I lost my brother, and and then when I lost my dad, you can like, golly, why me? And then you know what the Lord told me, Rakaya? He said, why not you?
Right.
Why not you? He said, because you're not the only one that's going to experience loss. He said, but I've put some things in you that's going to help some other people. He said, why not you, baby? You're not this is not isolated. You know what I'm saying? Yes, it is a personal experience, but it's not an isolated experience. And I'll never forget my dad when we were little kids, and someone would pass away, and he would always say, well, sure as you live, sure as you're born, you're gonna die. And he would say that all the time. And as a little girl, I'd be like, what is he talking about? And it's true. There's a season, to be born. There's a season to. And so you do X, Y, U, and that's so natural. But yes, oh girl, plenty of times, and
Right.
not just through loss, girl, through some other stuff too.
That's right. I know what you're talking about. Oh, I know. When you say your dad said that, I remember I have this poem that stays in my head that I wrote when I was young. I had to have been 11 years old when I wrote it. And I said, death is like, what is life but death? And what is death but life? Life is an endless journey trying to reclaim death.
Whew.
Because
Wow.
of, like you say, the pain that we go through. And I've always had like just this sadness, you know, but also this understanding of purpose in the pain. You
Right.
know, everything that I've experienced in my life, I've understood that I can't stay there. You know,
Right.
I can't stay there. But, you know, when it goes like this and you like, okay, well, Lord, I can pass that test, or I've, you know, weathered that storm, and I've shown you that I'm going to stay faithful to you. And then another thing happens and it like
Yes.
just knocks you off your feet.
Yes.
But God.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it. That's it.
And I was thinking today, and I was like, you know, hardship, trauma, grief, it does something to your relationship with God. Like, not too many people can say that after experiencing those things, their relationship stays the same. For some people, it will make them give up on that relationship. It will make them angry at God. It will make them pull away from that relationship for thinking that God did this to me. And for some people, it will strengthen that relationship somehow, or even sometimes they'll get mad and then they'll come back, but they'll have a stronger relationship or strengthening in that faith than they did before. Do you think that your relationship with God remained the same, or did it evolve through your different challenges in life?
It definitely evolved. There was a time, when my mom passed, it was like it was a hurt, but there was a process when my mom ended up having to go live with my family in Abilene. And so we weren't really close in proximity when it happened. But kind of when you see someone gradually getting sick and their body failing, it's almost kind of one of those things where every time she was in and out the hospital, it was like, oh Lord, thank God she made it. Oh, thank God she's coming home. Girl, but when my brother passed away, I was mad at God. I was mad at God. I was mad. I was mad. I was mad because I was like, golly, my brother didn't deserve that. Like, baby John, like, Lord. And I wasn't, and so yes, my relationship elevated. Girl, when my daddy got sick and we went to the hospital or to his doctor's appointments, and when they told us it was stage 4 lung cancer, we both did like that at the same time. And girl, to see him take a breath and he put his chin in his chest, I was like, Daddy, it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. He was like, I know, baby, I know. So the doctor came back in and he said, I think we need to go ahead and prepare for hospice. And I looked at the doctor. I said, Daddy, let's go, because we need to go find another doctor. And so at that time, my friend Tar, she made sure I was connected with the right people at MD Anderson, because I knew that his prognosis was, not a good one. Stage 4 lung cancer, that's tough. So we went to MD Anderson, and they told us that they would prolong his life as long as they could, but they could not save his life. So when you hear that, you have to have faith for God to carry you through whatever this is going to look like, Lord. Whatever this is going to look like, I need the strength, because my mom is my world. Baby John was our world. My daddy was, oh girl, my daddy was, ooh. Anyway, when they told me that, I started to have to, like, I need you, God. I need you to keep me strong. I need you. So seeing my daddy go through chemotherapy, seeing my daddy, this man that girl used to get off of work and hold us up on his muscles, become weak and feeble and skinny, and to see that, girl, you have to have a relationship with God. So it had to elevate in order to kind of get through that process, to sit with him at chemo, to see your hero and tell
Right.
him, Daddy, it's gonna be okay, but knowing in your heart that he had an expiration date. you had to have some faith. So so my faith elevated just definitely over the years. God kept his promises and steady keeping his promise in my life. So sis, I have learned that when when the tears have your pillow wet at night, you have to have some type of faith to get up in the morning to kind of keep pushing, So yeah, my faith definitely elevated. It's been tested, but for sure.
So is there like a favorite prayer? Like, I don't know if you know, but some mornings I get up, like when my eyes open, just it's like hitting a brick wall. And it's like, oh my God, you gotta get up and you gotta go through this. Every day it's not like that, but some days it's just so heavy. And so I have to say certain prayers for myself to even find the strength to, blink my eyelashes even, to move at all. Is there a prayer that you lean on in those times?
Um, Specifically right now, girl, I can say that I get up. I haven't had those moments in some time. When baby John first passed away, I remember driving to work, Rakaya, and I used to judge people when you watch news and they say somebody left their baby in a car all day. And girl, one day I drove to work. I turned around to get my bag to go into school. Girl, Jordan in the backseat sleep, and I was like, oh my God. I forgot to take him to the doctor. To the babysitter. And so in that moment, girl, my head was in such a fog because all I could think about was my brother. And so now when I wake up, God has given me the strength and he's healed our hearts. Do I miss him? Absolutely. But at the time when I was struggling, girl, I just was praying, Lord, heal my heart, touch my heart. Oh, Lord, just heal my heart. Like, I just need you to love on my heart. And so that's kind of, so nothing, specific, girl. When I had learned, girl, when I'm feeling sad, I feel sad. Girl, when I'm just feeling down and I miss my mom and daddy and my brother, I feel all of that.
Right.
You feel it, so
Right.
yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow. You know what was really touching me that I think a lot of people miss when we talk about sibling grief? Like, you're talking about all of your losses, but when you keep talking about baby John, and I think that society does not get that.
Mm-hmm.
We know how hard it is to lose a parent, but
Mm-hmm.
I have no clue about what it feels like to lose a sibling. And I know
Right.
I was reading a book once, and when I was feeling what I was feeling about Damani, and the book said, no, it was a post. Somebody had created a post, and it was talking about the fact that, a parent, I knew a life before Damani, but that Ahmad's life, he really didn't know what life was without like having his sibling.
Right. Right. When
So
I
for a
saw,
parent out there, the parents out there, because that's something that all of us ask about, like about sibling grief. What is it that you could, like, if you had to summarize what's a parent can do to help a sibling or support a sibling who's struggling with the loss of their sibling?
um, ask questions. Don't be afraid to have the hard conversations about what is it that you miss, about your brother, about your sister. Like, have those times where you sit down and talk about it. Talk about what you're feeling. Talk about, like you said, are you angry? What are those emotions you're feeling? When I saw Ahmad for the first time, my heart, girl, just broke for him because I knew, I used to call them, get their names mixed up all the time. And girl, Zamani used to say, I used to say Ahmad, call him Zamani Ahmad. He said, Zamani, Miss Tyisha, Coach Jenkins. I said, I know, okay, baby. And so just remembering, girl, I was just like, when I saw him and when I had seen him, girl, I hadn't seen him in forever. He was just looking, I said, look at this boy, looking like a grown man. And so sometimes we look at people and we see their stature, we see their demeanor, and we think, oh, they strong, they got it, oh, they've been, you just think but you don't know, because no matter how strong I am, no matter what my demeanor is looking like, when I lose someone that close to me, none of that matters. None of that matters. That has nothing to do with my heart and what I feel when I've lost somebody that I love. So I would say to the parents, be patient, but also pray for them. Pray for them and pray for their heart and pray for them to even talk to you, if open up about how they feel and different things like that. It's kind of hard for me a little bit just because I'm not a parent, but just knowing when we lost baby John, oh my gosh, girl, we needed each other. We needed each other more than we were there for each other. But I think because it was so hard to be around each other when it initially happened. But don't ever stop praying for your baby, because I'll never forget, girl. It's amazing how life happens. But I'll never forget when we were younger. We would be watching, girl, in the heat of the night, some show, old show. My mom would say, "Oh, he looked just like my little brother. Oh, he looked just like my little brother." And one of my brothers, his name is Booker T. We call him Booger. And so my uncle, that's his name, Booker T. And he passed away, I think, around 19 years old. And my mom used to say it all the time. Oh, he looked just like my brother. Oh, he looked just like my brother. I had never seen him, of course, right? But I used to wonder why she would always say that, because that's her brother that she lost. You know what I'm saying? So when it happens to you, I said, wow, now I understand. My mama was missing her brother all of those years.
And wanting to talk about him. Wanting to talk about him, because that's one thing that we all say. We want to hear their name. We want to talk about them. We want to share their stories. And so many people shy away from it because they think that it's going to hurt us more to talk about them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But we need it.
That's right. And I hadn't done that in years. I hadn't talked about, I'll post on baby John's birthday or when I'm thinking about him, but I haven't honored him like I should, just because it's one of those things where you don't want to talk about him too much, because you don't want people to think that you still grieving, or that you still, overdoing it, or you just don't want to feel like you giving too much attention to your hurt, and so
Well, what I will say about that is, you said you didn't do it like you should, but really there's no right way. Whatever you feel, whatever's working for you as the person going through grief, that is what you should do. That is the right way. But you said something else that I wanted to touch on. You said that, people say you're so strong, or people look at how you look from the outside. And I get that a lot. And it really hurts more than anything, because instead of supporting me, you're telling me, like, it's like almost like, are you saying that I'm strong because that's what's going to make it easier for you to deal with, is that I'm strong? Because you're not asking me if I feel strong. You're not asking me what I'm experiencing on the inside. You're not asking me what I need. You're just telling me I'm strong as if that's going to magically make me feel better. So let's talk about that, how we use the word strong, whether it's relating to grief, whether it's related to hardship, relate to relationships, anything. It's like we tell each other we're strong, especially in the Black community, for us to just be strong. And it doesn't ever let us really process what we're going through.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's like back to childhood. How many times your parents told you, girl, better not cry. You better hush. You better, And so, girl, whether it's a whooping or you fell on the ground, get up, dust yourself off. And so that is something that we, it has been, instilled in us. And sometimes, Rakaya, and not to say, people do see strength in you. And so when they say it, it's a compliment. And it's because they really see that in you. And sometimes people don't know what else to say. And so you kind of have to give them a pass sometimes. And I think you're absolutely right. You say, oh, but Tyisha's so strong. Tyisha's so strong. Well, I've had to be. Sometimes I don't want to be. Sometimes I don't want to be strong. I wish somebody, could be strong for me, or whatever the case may be. But I think when people see that in you, it's a compliment. And sometimes they don't know what else to say. I guess you have to look at it like this. Would you say, girl, she's so weak? Oh, she,
Well, no, that's what I was saying. Like, at least ask, how is today going for you?
yeah.
Or let's talk about it. If you don't know what to say, share a good memory about the person that passed away. But saying someone's strong when you don't know how many times they counted, how many pills is in a bottle that night. How is that helping me? So it's telling me that it's making me feel guilty for what I'm feeling because you're telling me I'm strong and I should be strong, but I have no outlet to talk about the thoughts that's going through my head. If I try to bring it up and talk to people, people tell me I'm strong in response to what I'm trying. This is when I was reaching out. This is when I was in a different place. But I know a lot of people who are going through that. And they say that people, they reach out for help and people say, oh, well, you're strong or God got you. And it's like, so what do I do with that when I can't get these thoughts to stop? So as a community, as a society, we have to do a better job of being able to sit in that discomfort with people and pray with people. We can, sometimes maybe just, oh, Lord, please heal her heart. If that's the simple prayer that you said, because those simple prayers are the ones that I can say over and over and over. And sometimes I just say, God, give me the strength to accept the things that I cannot change. And that's it, because I can't change the past. I can't change what I've experienced. I have to accept it because, when I kept staying in that place of wishing and praying for God to change what happened, I would have more anxiety because the change wasn't coming. I say, God, I know you have the power. It says that you have the power to change, to do anything. So I know you can give me my baby back. That was one of my prayers for the longest. But when I came to the place where I said, okay, you have to accept that it cannot change. And a lot of times when mothers will message me and they talk about the fact that they miss their child so much and they can't take it here without them, I say, you know what? We have to accept that we cannot change it. It does not mean that we have to be happy with what he allowed. We don't have to be happy with it. And sometimes we think that in this world we have to, like, sometimes we think our purpose is to find happiness on this earth. And that's not anywhere in the book. It's not written that we're going to find happiness here.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm gonna tell you that's so true. You're so right. But I do believe, because God, it said it in the word, he came, he left us peace.
Peace. That's what I see every day.
And so the thing is, you might not be happy. You might still have some anger. You might still have some resentment. You might, there might be some things that are going on in your heart. But my goodness, he will give you a peace that surpasses all understanding.
And what I will say is, if you really, really lean into that peace, then the anger and that resentment, it can't live in your heart at the same time as the peace.
That's it.
The peace will fill your whole heart up when we really lean into it. But the thing about peace is that it's not a one and done thing. If I find peace today, it doesn't mean that tomorrow I don't have to seek his peace again.
That's right.
Each day we have to continue to stay constant in that prayer of seeking that peace and allowing that peace that surpasses understanding, like you said, to fill our hearts.
Why? Because it's a process.
Exactly.
It's a process. When my mom died in 2005, then my brother died in 2006, you still mourning, you still grieving from a year before. But I tell you what, girl, when my dad passed away in 2014, the peace that God had given me, girl, my mom, when she got sick, I was a year and a half into teaching. I didn't know about FMLA. I didn't know about, none of that, being able to take off and be by my mom's side. When I found out my dad was sick, I immediately made sure that I did what I needed to do, and I was not going to miss a beat because I already went through it with one parent and wasn't there like I should have been. And I just said, Lord, I got to be by my dad's side. And so he gave me that peace, knowing like, we finna ride this out, Daddy. We gonna ride it out, girl. I had brought him to my house for like a week. He was doing chemo. And I'll never forget, I'm making him comfortable, making sure he had everything he need. Girl, he kept saying, when you taking me home? I was like, Daddy, I want, and then part of me was just being selfish too. Like, I want you here with me.
Yeah,
so he was like, girl, he wanted to go to his house. And I took him on home. I was crying. I was like, Daddy, I don't understand why you just can't stay here with me. He was like, I just want to be at my house. And I was like, oh, I understand.
So even though you had the FMLA and the days, did you have any times that your employment made you feel guilty for taking those days?
Oh my gosh, at this school, at this time, under this administration, I'm gonna have to be absolutely honest. No. I had an awesome department chair at the time. I had an awesome principal at the time. Let me tell you, honey, when I looked up and saw some of those people at my dad's funeral, girl, was nothing but God. Nothing, girl. Oh, I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But at that time, Rakaya, I have to, girl, the support was unreal. It was just absolutely amazing. So no, I didn't. At that time, there weren't any issues in regards to that. I had all support, but I can tell you this too. It didn't matter to me. It didn't matter to me at that point. Y'all can, do what you got to do, but I'm going to be here with my daddy.
Right. Mm-hmm. All right. I want to address some comments and then we're going to wrap up. Okay. So I'm going to go back. We got a lot of comments here. So we got Avis Smothers who says, I'm praying for you, sis.
Oh, hey, Avis.
Kimberly Ellison, let's go, Lady TJ.
Yes.
Hannah Ali, sending the hearts and the love.
Oh, hi, friend.
Nicole Long.
Yes, Nikki. Hey, Nikki.
All right, Dennis Kaufman. That's my old neighbor. Just want to say hi. That's my old neighbor right there, Dennis.
Oh, I was like, girl, I don't know you.
Gina Peavy, here to support.
Oh, hey, Janae.
The Promise in Prison. Yes. If anybody is joining us late, you want to go back and watch the replay. It is The Promise in Prison.
Yes. Pregnant with The Promise. Mm-hmm.
Yes. So here we have Kimberly Russell. I wanted to make sure to get back to this comment. Suicide is somewhat taboo in the Black community. When my uncle committed suicide, it took my other uncle years for them to tell us the truth about it.
Kim. Kim is one of my, she's one of my good friends, one of my really good friends from college. We were roommates in college. And it's funny that she says that. I was having a conversation with one of my siblings on the phone one time and I said it and Jordan overheard me. He was like, what? You never told me that about Uncle Baby John. And I looked at him and I had to have that talk with him. He knew my brother had passed. He knew, of course. And I had to have that talk with him because it like you said, Kim, is taboo. And what I'm gonna just say this, and I have to be very transparent and very real. There is some shame attached to it. There is some shame attached to someone taking their life. And I was mad at my brother. Girl, can I be serious? I was angry at my little brother. I was pissed at him, Rakaya. I mean, pissed. Because I felt like whatever you was going through, bro, like you could have talked to us about that. That's what I felt. You know what I'm saying? But then I also had to tell myself, you don't know if I had to take that anger off and say, whatever he was going through, he felt like that was his last resort. And then you start feeling guilty. But girl, I was upset, but you're right. We don't want to talk about it because we're embarrassed. We're ashamed. We're like, we think people crazy and stuff like that, so there is some taboo and shame attached to it.
Right. And in our community, especially, in the Black community, going to counselors, when you go back to what you said about when we little and they say, you better stop crying, you better toughen up, you better suck it up. And, they have post-traumatic slave syndrome. I don't know if you've ever heard of that term, but they talk about the things that from slavery, what our families were taught in regards to survival. So we couldn't be weak. We couldn't talk about what we were feeling. We couldn't express certain things. So even when I talk about how people would say, you strong when I'm reaching out for help. So those type of things, maybe Baby John felt like he did reach out for help. When I look back to, what is the lady's name who, what's her last name? She wrote for This Is Us, the show This Is Us.
Oh yeah, I can't think of her name, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Beautiful.
About crying out for help. And then when Tamar Braxton did her little thing and people talking about crying out for help, but if you look at it, they in their own way were crying out for help. So as a community, we have to find ways to make it to where we're not telling each other to be strong, but finding a way that we're allowing that to be a two-way communication.
And that's so important. I'm so glad you said that, is because after it happened, we started piecing together stuff. Like maybe when he said this, or maybe when he did this, maybe when we did that, but it still was so hurtful to talk about it. And when you are not equipped with the tools to deal with it, like you said, we've got to find ways. But there's just a level of, you just don't have those tools to say, hey, we've got to start developing, those, and having those tough conversations, and
Right.
especially during this time and this season with COVID and people being in isolation. Rakaya, I can tell you, girl, it still trips me out to have to wear a mask every day. Like I'm sitting in my classroom or walking through the halls, and that just messes with my psyche. Like, it's like, oh my God. And so just imagine, people whose minds are just going and going and going. Like, we do have to, figure out how do we find these tools, get these tools, and especially parents, that have gone through traumatic situations, and you have a child, even with my child, some things that he's going through as he's growing up to be a young man, I have to find ways to talk to him, or get him the tools that he needs to process and navigate life as a young male, as a young Black male, growing up today.
Right. When you talk about like the COVID and the masks and all of that layered together, there's so many people who COVID is on top of previous trauma. So like if you look at you and like how you said, it's hard for you to even talk about your brother's suicide without getting emotional and tearing up. So that is on, now COVID is on top of that. Wearing the mask is on top of that. Teachers who are feeling anxiety about the uncertainty about the school year, that's on top of that. So we have trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma, and we still have to go back and unearth or deal with the trauma that is the original trauma. When I was teaching the class that I taught, it gave me the opportunity to talk to kids about trauma and the things they were experiencing that other teachers would not necessarily understand or know about those children. And when I see the kids that are labeled as problem kids, the kids that are in so much trouble, when you really go to the root of it, they had sibling loss that they've never been able to talk about. They've never been able to talk to a family member, their parents. I remember driving after losing Damani, and I was driving one day and it hit me. I remembered a girl who used to talk to me about her mother having an alcoholism problem, saying that her mother, they had no relationship. She was always drinking, and she didn't have a relationship. She didn't feel loved, and she was acting out, and she was labeled as a problem kid. And so I was driving one day and I remembered that, but it hit me like out of nowhere. I remembered several months prior, she had shared with me that years before, she had lost her little brother. He had drowned. I put two and two together. I said, oh my Lord, now I understand why her mother has changed, why her mother has this alcohol problem. And now ripple all of those on top of each other. Her mother, she lost a sibling she doesn't understand. She blames herself because she couldn't save him. Then the mother has an alcoholism problem and isn't, showing her love. Now she, is feeling out of place and is always labeled as a problem child and is just searching for love in the world. Right. And then this is a kid that is getting lost in the system.
And it happens so often. Way too often. You're right. You're right.
So instead of looking at the behavior, it's time for us to start looking at the issues, the root causes, the things that are happening. And I'm planning for Monday, I'm going to be doing a mindfulness for back to school. So a meditation session for back to school. So for teachers, parents, students, everybody, just tools for us to understand how to quiet our minds, how to be at peace and with what is going on, with, being at peace with what is and accepting, the situations. Yeah. So we got R.I.P. BJ from Ronnie here.
Yeah, that's my brother.
Hi, from Tyisha. Tyisha, you don't love me too? Okay. All right.
Tyisha knew Baby John too. She knew all,
Yes, Tyisha, that's my rock right there. It is well with your soul, ladies. Hi, Boomy.
You know who that? You know who's mom? That's Ty's mom, Kimmy's grandma.
Is it? Oh, okay. Wait, Kimmy Franklin. So what do you mean, Ty?
Her mom, Kimmy's mom.
Oh, the one that had the
That's
blood clot.
her. That's her
Yeah,
grandma. That's
yeah,
Kimmy's
I
grandma.
remember her.
That's my
Yeah,
heart. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And so you talking about and not to say Miss Ayula, the strength, you see but she lost two children, and she lost her youngest son, when Ty was a young girl, and then of course an adult daughter. So
And then raised her granddaughter as her own.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
I love her so much.
Yes. Tyisha Jenkins, you are brave for talking about this. You're helping to inspire me. You're helping so many people.
Okay,
Thank you for
so
sharing your light.
Kim, absolutely. Kim, she also is a childhood friend. We grew up together in the same neighborhood. Rakai, she lost her son when he was mhm, a young boy.
Wow.
Mhm.
Anybody who is watching this, I have a private Facebook group for loss. If you just look up Healing Hearts, I have a public page for any loss, and then anyone who has lost a child, there's a private group, Healing Hearts, Parents of Child Loss. And again, the Promise Book. Make sure that you guys purchase the Promise Book. Not only Tyisha, but there are dozens of female authors in this book sharing their journeys of finding God's promise. So we have The Lord is Your Strength
Yes,
from
thank you.
Mina McCary. Thank you for joining us. You are an inspiration.
Oh, thank you, Jen.
Okay. What a testimony. Yes, it is a powerful testimony. Tyisha, I'm still waiting. When is your solo book going to come out? When is the next project?
So that's part of his promise. Girl, that's I think. Look, I might have to go to therapy before I start writing on right now on Rakaya. So I'm gonna work on this, sis. I promise you.
Well, I'm here for you too. So just let me know. We can process it. So,
Okay.
little cousin, Jackie, you are heaven sent. It's okay, baby girl. Sending you hugs and lots of love for your love your way.
Cousin
From
Bridget.
Bridget. Wanda Dixon. Yes, there is purpose in the pain.
Yes, she's
Yes, we gotta find it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, is she in the promise book?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
all right, Miss Wanda.
Yes.
Okay, and this is Gina Hardy. Yes, exactly. Mine grew tremendously. That's what we were talking about. Does the faith evolve? So
Yes.
yes, if your faith has evolved through your pain, send us a comment. Give us a little prayer hands at the bottom, letting us know that your faith has evolved through the pain you've experienced. Christy
Mm-hmm.
Kaufman, my neighbor growing up. Hey, Christy. And she lost her dad. I want to say maybe less than 2 years ago. Yeah, and that's been a struggle. I think she said the other day, and watching it over time, like you said, when sometimes we wonder if that sudden death, not being able to say goodbye, but it's harder. But then having to watch your person, your loved one deteriorate over time is traumatic as well.
Yeah,
And
it's traumatic because for me, when I saw my dad going through it, for him to see himself like that, like knowing, and I just used to be like, Daddy, it's gonna be all right. And he was always so positive, and he was just like, I know, but just to see him when his shoulders would drop, girl, I would be like, oh my gosh. But you're right, it's definitely traumatic. But it's more, you just feel so sad for them. It's like, look at my dad, he's so strong all of these years, and so yeah, definitely.
yeah.
Tough.
You know what? You're right, because I'm going through some things personally with my mom, and I'm sad for her.
Mhm.
But when you lose someone suddenly and someone so young, I think the sadness is for myself in that situation, because I have to, accept God's word that, when you leave the body, you are present with the Lord, and that you're in his eternal peace. So for me, I'm sad that Damani didn't get to experience certain things in life, but I understand that, or I try to lean on the understanding, because I can't honestly say that I understand, but I believe in my heart that paradise, that heaven, that the hereafter is better than here. So really, I'm sad for me and all of the memories that we won't get to have,
Oh yeah,
But
oh yeah. And
yeah,
one of the things I said, I was so sad when Baby John passed, I said, well, Lord, my mama got to, live 51 years. My dad, he lived 60. I think my dad was 61. And so, girl, Baby John, I was like, Lord, Baby John didn't get to really do a lot and see a whole lot, So he said, he was mine before he was yours.
Yeah.
And girl, when I tell you I had that peace, I was like, Lord, yes, he was. You just gave him to me. And then I said, Lord, thank you for the time that I did have him. Thank you for the memories that we do have, because, so I when you start thanking God for the time that you did have with him, the memories that you did have with him, you start thanking God for the heart that he had, the laughs and the personality that does kind of, felt. And one of the things I say, for people that are dealing with loss and grief, I have to tell myself, how would Baby John want me to live? How will my mama want me to what type of mom will my mama want me to be right now? What type of my dad always instilled in education in us. So I'm just trying to be who they would want me to be on this side, of heaven. It's like, I just say, I'm like you said, do it for Damani. It's time for us to live this thing out on purpose. Rakaya, we're on assignment. And it's so important for us to. The thing is, God might subtract, but He also has the ability to multiply. That doesn't mean we are birthing more children, but He's birthing, a promise, this purpose, this passion in us. And it's time for us to talk. I've been quiet for years because sometimes you don't even have the voice. You don't know what to say, or you think, everybody's experienced it. Everybody's been through loss. But it's so many people that's hurting that needs to hear our story, that needs to hear that, there is life after death. There's life after loss.
Right. And when you say, you said like doing it, what they would want you to do. And for me, I feel like one of the things that push me is understanding that what my belief is that what we do now is actually a form of their deeds, like it's an extension of their deeds. So Damani didn't get to do a lot of things. So when I'm doing things, my belief is that I'm continuing charity for him. So on his birthday, we went and we fed the homeless. On the anniversary of his passing, we went and fed the homeless. We've done a lot of things for a lot of other youth that didn't get to experience, or that he didn't get to experience, but it's because we want his deeds to go ahead and multiply so that those are added to his deeds of record. That's my belief. And so when people see me going extra hard, it's because I'm going hard for my baby. That's my purpose. That's what God put on my heart. I have two choices. I can lay in the bed and I can wallow in what has happened that I cannot change, or I can get up and I can do something with what has been given to me. When I say what's been given to me, not just the pain that's been given to me, but the purpose that's been given to me. There's not a lot of people that can speak to what we're speaking about because they haven't experienced it. People who speak on this and haven't experienced it, it's a different level of it. But when I know that someone knows what I've experienced and they're speaking from actual experience as opposed to theory, then it's easier for me to apply and accept what they've said.
Absolutely.
Here, grief is love. Yes. When we grieve, we're showing love for our babies.
Yes.
Our sign of mercy. That's mercy from God that we're showing in honor of our child. Oh, Lord. I didn't know I needed tissues or toilet paper. Jesus, have your stronghold.
Look, she called me Little Dorothy, girl. That's my mama's name.
Then we got that part. Going through so much, you began to pray to be kept regardless of what the outcome. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. Got a lot of comments here. Let's see. Heal my heart. Where did that one go? Hold on. 1 second. Much love to you both. Oh, here's a link. Yes, this is the link to purchase the book. Also, it can be purchased on Amazon, Tyisha.
Yes, I prefer you to go straight to Sparkle Publishing for authors, reasons, that's how
Okay,
I
so
join it.
DOP Tyisha Jenkins.
And yeah, the bit.ly, and then you go to Sparkle, or you can go straight to Sparkle Publishing, and put my name in when you purchase the book, and that way I get author's credit because there's so many authors in the devotional, and that's the beauty of this book is that my story is in here, but there are so many other stories of grief, faith, overcoming. Marriage, singleness. There's so much in this book, girl. Some of these
Publishing.com.
sparklepublishing.net.
Right here. Ty, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so go to sparklepublishing.net, purchase your book. Do a couple of more this conversation is very powerful. Thank you so much, Ms. Wanda Dixon.
That's a DOP, daughter of promise.
You ladies are beautiful and highly blessed. Thank you so much, Miss Nikki.
Oh, I love Nikki. So sweet.
Colette Thompson. Thank you, Miss Valid, for joining us. So much love.
Definitely.
Okay, the serenity prayer. Yes, babies. The other day, getting up out of the bed, because it's been 18 months for me. So I still have those days that I have to, so the other day I had a mom who messaged me from my group, and she said, I don't know how you do it. You're so strong. She takes the fact that I'm doing what I'm doing, that I'm not experiencing pain. And so I want to be transparent with everyone that I am still experiencing pain, but I've just learned how to move with the pain. I've learned how to carry the pain and not let it, paralyze me anymore. Because I've had days.
Yeah, and that pain, girl, and it changes you. And like you said, Rakaya, it's what you do with it.
Right.
Girl, it made me a better person. It made me a better teacher, girl. I barely walk down a hallway or in it without saying hello to somebody. I'm going to acknowledge your presence because I know what it is to be without someone that I speak and because I see you, and that's so important, and so, and it changes you. It's like almost if I hadn't experienced what I've experienced, at one point I took life for granted. Girl, I'll never forget. My aunt used to tell me I was one of those teenagers. I gave my mom, the blues, and I had this attitude. I had this chip on my shoulder, and I used to say, I don't care. Every time somebody tell me something, well, girl, this, I'm like, I don't care. Or do this. I don't care. Grandma Amy looked me in my eyes one day. She said, one day you're gonna have to care. She said, you need to stop saying it. And it hit me like a ton of bricks, and I changed. I stopped saying it. But she was right. When you lose somebody that you love, yeah, your level of care changes. So I care about people.
Yeah.
I care about people in a major way. I care about, when I upset people. I care about when I wrong someone. I care. And my aunt, she told me, she said, you need to stop saying that because some gonna make you care one day. And I was around 12, 13 years old, and she was right. She was absolutely right.
The thing with me with the loss that it took me so long to wrap my mind around is because I've had that before this. You know what I mean? I've been this type of person that had like just such a giving spirit, like even the way that I was as a coach, like how much I just loved each and every one of those girls. And I understood that death, like I said, even with the poem, I understood that death was something that could happen, but I always thought like if we made a mistake or, if we did something wrong. So I always tried my best to always give and do for others. And when this happened to me, that why it was a tug of war for a while, because it was like I thought I was doing your will, and I sacrificed so much for so many other children, and for you to take mine. And like you said, I remember it was at the candlelight vigil, so it was like only a week after I said, He wasn't mine. We say that so much, but still, even with knowing that, you go back and forth. You do that tug of war where it's still like, well, still, why did you take him from me? Even if he wasn't completely mine, why did you take him from me? He was such a blessing. He was such a gift.
Oh, girl, I know. And I'm telling you, girl, when I saw you, sis, girl, girl, I was broke for you. Oh, girl, when I saw you, it broke me down because I knew Damani, and I knew, and I know that's your baby. And so, girl, when I saw you and Damon, I was, when I see you now, and I know it took something to get to where you are, but for me, that's when you know God is real, when He can take your broken heart and start mending it and start healing you and giving you your strength back. I remember seeing you praying and my heart broke. And because the thing about it is, Rakaya, you said you knew about death. You knew about death, and we know about it, we hear about it, we hear about people, but until you experience the depth of that hurt, I mean, you probably can't put words, an adequate amount of words of what it felt to lose your baby. You can't describe that. You can communicate it to somebody, but for you to really truly describe and explain your feelings, I have a hard time saying that about my little brother. And it's so funny because I never ever want to say, oh, my mom, death was like this, and my dad's death was like this, and baby John. It was a difference in terms of he was so young. He was our baby. You know what I'm saying?
And like you said, they lived for 51 and 61 years. And that's one of the things that gets me. Like when I see someone that passes that has lived a full life, like when Chadwick Boseman passed, I'm like, yes, like not yes that he passed, but yes, his legacy, the work that he got to do in his time, and the love that he's left here for us, and all of the jewels that he's left here for us, and the fact that he lives with purpose. He lives such a full life. Even Kobe lived such a full life, even in the 40. It's so many people that will live 90, 100 years that won't get to accomplish what they did in their 42 years. So I'm like, it's still a beautiful thing, because life is a beautiful gift. Life is a gift, right?
Yeah.
So what we do with that gift and what they did in the 42 years and the 43 years that they lived will never die.
Yeah.
Ever, ever, ever die.
Yeah.
And so for me, my mission is to do everything that I can in memory of Damani, that his legacy will live on. That's even though he only lived 17 years, I have the opportunity to do things to where he won't be forgotten.
That's right. That's right. And that's what I'm doing in this season. No matter how people may have known my mother, remembered her, my dad, for me, that was my mama. For my siblings, that was our mama. That was our little brother. That was, our daddy. I want to honor them in this season of my life. I honor the life that you lived. I honor the life that God allowed me to experience. And I thank my dad. I'm telling you, girl, if it wasn't for my dad, I wouldn't have gone to Prairie View. I wouldn't have gotten a degree. I wouldn't have pursued my master's. My dad, he used to tell us when we were little, girl, he used to tell us, I'm the smartest man in the world. And girl, I was like, he's the smartest man in the world. And he used to tell us, girl, education without application is merely information. So when you go to Prairie View, apply yourself.
Right.
And girl, it stuck with me. And so I now in this season, everything, and I said, Lord, I don't even know the prayers my mom and daddy pray for me. But whatever they pray for me, I thank them. I don't know what prayers they pray for me, but as a parent, you know the prayers you pray for your child. And I thank God that whatever prayers my mama put up when she was pregnant with me, I'm so thankful. And I owe it to her to honor her. And I look back over the years when I didn't know, just ignorant, young, didn't know. But if I knew the things that I know now, I would sit at her feet, and just tell her, I adore you, I love you, you know what I'm saying? I honor you. So it's that time, and so I thank you and I honor you for the mother that you are, and your journey, and I will never stop praying for you, friend, ever.
Thank
So
you so much, sis. Thank you.
absolutely.
James West says singleness can be a blessing. Corinthians 7 and 8. Thank you,
Praise
James. Nina B says, enjoyed you both. Continue ministering. This blessed my soul. Thank you, Miss Nina. Go ahead and make sure that you guys share this video to continue ministering out there. There might be someone out there that needs to hear something that we said today. So share the video with your friends, with your network. You can share it either here on Facebook, share it on YouTube, share the YouTube link, and also go ahead and follow and subscribe to the YouTube page, Rakaya Gibson, Do It for Damani. And here we have Seth Green, such amazing ladies. Ms. Rakaya, I believe so many lives will be saved because of you and in honor of Damani. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate you. Who was that, Jackie? What that was, Tyisha? What are you talking about? Learning to live with the pain is a process. Yes, it is. It is a continual process. The pain changes. So when you learn and you adapt to it, you have to continue to be willing and open to continue to adapt to it. But the one thing we must not do is give up. And no matter how alone we feel, the thing that I learned along the process is no matter how alone we are, we never are alone as long as we have God. You can have everything, and if you don't have God, you have nothing. So, yes. He was not lying. Oh, talking about your daddy, right?
That's my aunt. That's my dad's sister. She gonna ride for him regardless.
Right. And I guess I missed one of your co-authors was shouting out your chapter. What is it? Zeta Gamma?
Yes, that's where we pledged that. Girl, it's 4 of us that wrote together. So we said we pledged together, now we published together. So
I know that's right. Love it, Ty. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much for sharing the promise with us, Tyisha. Thank you for sharing your story. And thank you everyone who has joined us. If you have a testimony, if you have something that God has done for you that helped you through your pain, everyone will be able to continue to see these comments. So leave a comment below because you never know who you can minister to through your testimony of what you've experienced and what God has helped you through, or is even helping you through, because yes, he's helped me through it, but he's continuing to help me through it every day, because the one day that I give up or think that I've made it, then that will stunt my growth. That will stunt my progress because I have to continue to evolve. Tyisha, any closing thoughts?
No, I just want to thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I more than anything, because I haven't seen you in some time, and we see each other on Twitter and different things like that. I want to let you know that I love you and I honor you and I love your family, and I thank you for allowing me to be a part of your journey. And I'm just excited about the promises God has for both of us. And
absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing, Tyisha. And we're going to plug that book one more time. So tell them where to get it.
Sparklepublishing.net. Make sure you check out and type my name, Tyisha Jenkins. And you will get my story, which is an absolute blessing, but there are some stories in this book that will bless your life tremendously, that have blessed mine. So you get more than my promise. You're getting 129 other promises of God's faithfulness in our lives. So I thank you again so much, Rakaya.
One other thing, Tyisha does like daily devotionals on her Twitter page. So Lady TJ?
At 220. Yes.
220.
I'm glad you said that. I have a prayer journal coming out in the spring. In the spring, it'll be released. So I'm working on that, trying to do the finishing touches on that. Yes. So absolutely. I just prayer, has partnering with God through prayer. I wrote that in the devotional. That has helped me, and it's the times that I didn't know the words to say, I know he was, he was responding to my heart. So I pray.
Yes, he knows our heart. And and just to go back to something you said earlier about praying for our children, like when that situation that I explained with Ahmad and our relationship, and when I just went to my prayer rug and just continually every day just prayed for God to soften his heart and heal our relationship.
Yeah.
It was like after I did that daily, that's when all of a sudden things opened up for us, So God, is who we turn to. He is
Yeah.
who we turn to. Yes.
And he when he say they say pray without ceasing, and you gotta believe it. You gotta believe a thing and keep praying for it. Now, one thing I knew and I know is that we can't get on his nerves. We can't get
Right.
on his nerves. Lord, listen, I pray for your will, Lord, but you say you're gonna give us the desires of our hearts. And if it lines up with your will, Lord, I'm not gonna stop praying for it. I'm not gonna if that's healing, I'm not gonna stop praying for it till I wake up and say, Lord, have mercy, I feel better. Oh Lord, thank you. So
right. Exactly. And when we talk about like prayer, it really is an all day. Like in the word, it says to meditate on God's word day and night. So when should you stop? It should never stop. So when I'm walking, when I go for a walk, my walk is a form of prayer. When I meditate, it is a form of prayer because I'm thanking God. When you talk about gratitude, I'm thanking him for what he's done for me. And when we think about what we don't have, like in our group, we do gratitudes. Like every week we post like, what are we know what we don't have, but let's kind of shift our attention to what we do have and what we do have to be grateful for. So all of that, I think, is like when you talk about the toolkit. So I have my book coming out, which is going to lay out the toolkit for the healing process, the things that have helped me, looking towards people who have gone through this kind of thing. So like if you look at Trayvon Martin's mother, Sabrina Fulton, and how she's taken her pain and turned it into purpose. You look at Lucy Macbeth, Jordan Davis's mother, and you look at all of these people who have experienced things like what we've experienced, but they found a way to take that pain and make it multiply, like you say, and touch the lives of so many people to where who gonna ever forget Trayvon Martin?
Nobody.
So even though he only lived 17 years, his legacy is going to live forever.
Right.
He is where the Black Lives Movement started.
Yeah.
So, just because someone has passed away, that's why you'll never really hear me say that Damani died. I say Damani passed away. Because as long as we keep them alive, keep our loved ones alive, then they never really die.
That's it, sis. That's it.
Yes. So I really appreciate you. And, we went way over time, but we might have to do a part 2, come back later on. I definitely, if you want to come back, let me know. I truly enjoyed this, Tyisha. You blessed my heart. And I will continue to pray for God to heal both of our hearts.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. And I love you so much, sis. Thank you so much for just being a part of our lives and for sharing your journey with everybody. Miss Fernandez says she can't wait for her book. I got mine last night, Miss Fernandez. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
So anybody, go ahead and order your books. You will not be disappointed. And make sure that you put in your author as Tyisha Jenkins. And muchas gracias. Muy bien, bueno.
Escuchar ese testimonio ayuda mucho a los demás. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Love it. Yes.
Listening to your testimony has helped so many people. Girl, I know a little Spanish. Thank you.
Girl, look at you. I'm up here. I stopped at bueno.
Listening to your testimonies has helped so many people, or women. Demás is women, I think. Muchas gracias. Yo hablo español un poquito.
Love it. Thank you so much, Ty. And remember, guys, go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We have so many videos that are people sharing their stories of grief and hardship and how they've overcome it. Not just talking about the sadness, but how they're working their way through it. Again, this month we are focused on how faith is helping people through their hardship and grief. Next week, we have Simona Watts, who has a powerful testimony. She lost her 5-year-old son. And similar to you, she said that when she was praying for him to be saved, that she changed her prayer to God, let your will be done.
Oh,
And she found so much peace in the moment that he was relieved from his pain
yes.
because he had been diagnosed with
Oh,
cancer. And she has a YouTube channel. Her testimony is powerful. And I'll tell you this, when God tells us to move on something, we got to move on it.
yeah.
I don't know Simona Watts, but
Mhm.
God told me to contact her because her testimony helped me so much. Like months after, I think about 6 months after Damani passed, I listened to her testimony a few times. And so recently I reached out to her, and at the end I said, I pray that God tells you to say yes. She
Yes.
said yes.
Yes.
So this is all in divine order. Everything that I'm doing with this channel, it is not about me.
Mhm.
This is a mission or a purpose that I feel that God has put on my heart, not because it's about me, but I feel that I can be helped through these conversations. So it's not just me trying to help others, it's blessing me from hearing other people's testimonies, but also it's blessing other people through the testimony, through my transparency, through my process, and the fact that we can keep going.
Mhm.
We can find a way through
Oh
this.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And
So
we are the evidence. We are the evidence of that. Yes. So yeah.
right. And then, okay, so you just put it on my heart. So when we say why me, then how will people know if he does not send a sign?
That's it.
How will people know that this is the truth if he doesn't give signs? Like your testimony is a sign to people that his word and his promise is true.
That's right. That's right. And it does, his word does not come back void. And I'm telling you, my promise verse in this book is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you. And I question God's plans in my life because I say, Lord, there's no way this much loss and hurt, all the things that I went through in my childhood, all the things that we saw, this couldn't be part of the plan of my life. He said, but I do. He said, for I know, for I know the plans I have for you. You don't know them. You don't know them. I know them. It says, declares the Lord. He said, plans to prosper you and not harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future. Girl, I had faith, hope. I was losing hope because I'm like, Lord, ain't no way this much hurt is supposed to be part of my life. Girl, Rakaya, this is it in terms of having hope in a future. I would have never thought in a million years that God would have given me the opportunity through Dr. Kimberly Ellison. And I have to give her a shout out, the visionary behind this book. She wrote this book, Promise, or she birthed this book because God was keeping a promise in her life. Her sister was diagnosed with COVID. She prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed and prayed. And her sister, they told her that her sister, may not recover. Her sister may not walk again. Her sister may not talk again, but God kept his promise. Her sister is in rehab. She's walking. She's talking, and so Dr. Kimberly Ellison, the visionary, she was the owner of Sparkle Publishing. This promise was birthed in her. And so this is part of my future. This is part of the hope that that he promised me not to harm. So it's been amazing. It's been amazing. We've always talked, you and I as friends, teaching together about writing a book, about writing books. This is the beginning, of the promise that he has for me. So I'm just grateful and I'm thankful. And let me tell you, before I say this, I know I have plugged this book a couple of times, but I want to tell you, everybody, Sparkle Publishing just sent out the list of people who purchased so that we'll know who purchased the book. Girl, I was in tears crying when I saw the names on that list. So everybody that purchased a book and they typed in Tyisha Jenkins, I don't care if you spelled it wrong. I know who you were for. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. You are part of my promise. Like, I can't even, for people to say that they'll spend because they believe what you have to say is has some validity, has some truth behind it. Like, just to see the people that took the time to purchase the book, girl, my heart is full, and I want to thank them publicly. If you are still watching, if you go back and listen to this, I thank you. I thank you for believing in what I have to say. I thank you for believing in my story. So I thank you so very much.
Yes. Wanda Dixon says, we are the evidence. Yes, we are the evidence. We are the proof. How will they know? Unless we send a sign. So I need everybody that's still watching to do this for me. Go ahead and tag one friend that you think can benefit from this conversation today. Tag them in the comments right now, and they will receive the link to this video. And that way we're continuing to share and minister to others about God's promise. And then we have one more comment. Jasmine Holder says, it was a blessing to have you guys as my teachers. Thank you, Jasmine. Thank you. That is sweet. Thank you guys so much. Go ahead, tag a friend, leave comments, and we thank you guys so much for, Tyisha, I'm teary-eyed. I'm so proud of you and all the ladies around you. Yes. All right. Thank you so much for joining, Ty. And don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do that for me, guys. Subscribing to the channel is completely free. I have a goal with the ministry that I'm doing, with the messages that I'm trying to send out. And there are certain things that YouTube unlocks for me once I reach 1,000 subscribers. So if you guys can help me get to that goal of 1,000 subscribers, I'll be forever in debt. So please go ahead, subscribe to the YouTube channel, share this video, and purchase Promise Book. And we're looking out for the journal, the devotional journal coming out in the spring, Tyisha. Yeah. Thank you so much. We love you.
Thank you. Love you too.
All right. Bye-bye.